it's like 9 o'clock in the morning, so we're almost done with the show. Like I'm working on like the clip of the day right then and there. I'm almost finished with it. And he goes, "Hey, can I see you in my office?" Which is never a fucking good thing because I'm like, anytime he's wanted to talk to me, it's been about like, "Hey, you fucked up."
Hmm.
I'm like, "Oh, sure, He goes, "All right, follow me, follow me." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I guess it's a good thing he's leading off because I gotta fucking fart my brains out."
Like I know where your office is. I just have to
Yeah,
fart.
yeah. So I'm crop dusting all the way to his fucking office,
Nice.
and I go inside, and it's him and Carter Allen. And Carter and I, we've got no beef. I fucking love Carter to death, man. Like
Hmm.
he was again one of the nicer fucking guys. Like when I was brought on there, he was very very welcoming with opening arms. I'd love to shoot the shit with him, after the morning show was done, and just kind of like pick his brain a little bit, and just kind of shoot the shit with him. Just what's going on in the news, or just like rip on this, or like, hey, remember this is going on? Hey, this is a great artist. We should probably throw that in there. So I loved shooting the shit with him. But during the summer, he would uh he would take like there was like a 2 week period. He would take that off, and then he would take every Friday off as like his vacation time. So he would get that 3 day weekend,
Hmm.
and I couldn't blame him for it because I was like, fuck, I'd probably do the same damn thing.
Yeah, seriously, that's a great idea.
It's a tremendous idea. And he would come in during Christmas. And I'm like, dude, don't you want to be home during Christmas? He's like, no, I kind of like it. There's nobody here to bother me. I can just kind of do what I want. I'm like, oh shit, it's a solid argument. I'm not going to argue with him. So to see him in the building on a Friday was very very fucking weird. So
Yeah,
I'm
it's
just
a little
like,
bit
oh hey
weird.
Carter, what's going on? So Mike looks at me, says, have a seat. And at this point, I'm like, fuck, you did something. What did you fucking do? So he goes, I'm just gonna get right to the point because these discussions are never easy. And I'm like, I can see the fucking writing right there. I'm like, I'm being let go, aren't I? He goes, yeah. So I'm in absolute fucking shock of this. I'm just like, what the fuck? I'm wondering what the fucking reasoning is. Is I'm like, all right, I haven't been late in a good long fucking time. Like
Hmm.
really, the only thing I really ever did was like kind of snapped at Pete, but I think we kind of agreed to just kind of let bygones be bygones and just come in the next day be the team player. And then I'd remembered I had snapped at Kevin as well. He
Uh-huh.
had asked me to do something, and I said, you know what, man, that's a fucking producer's job. You get your fucking producer to do it. So I was fucking tired of it, man.
Hmm.
So I didn't really like talk to Kevin too much after that. Like I think like the day before I had gotten let go, he and I we kind of shot the shit and whatnot. And, we seemed cool and whatnot. And it was almost like looking back, it was almost like he knew something was going on, but he had a pretty good poker face about it.
Hmm. But do you know whether or not he knew or no?
I I think he did know.
You think he did, but you don't know for certain.
I do know. I think I do know for certain. I'm not 100% positive, but I'll get into that in a second. So Mike's telling me like, this is why you're being let go. We can't have this type of attitude around here. Uh, you're telling these guys that, hey, this is a fucking producer's job. That's not the right type of attitude that we need around here. I said, and I was like, I apologized for that though. I was like, I talked to Pete and Kevin about it. I said, we fucking agreed like, okay, it's just an isolated incident. I'm having a bad morning. I apologize. I'll come in and I'll be a team player.
Hmm.
And and he goes, yeah, and I'm just like, why am I even talking? Like, nothing is gonna save my job at this point. I I could be like, by the way, guess what? And I pull out like the world's greatest thing out of my pocket, and it makes the station $1 billion fucking dollars. I'm still losing my fucking job.
Yeah.
So I'm
It
just like, you know
it's
what? Just stay
yeah.
fucking silent. And some of the things like he was talking about was he was like, well, in meetings, you would be in a meeting and you would just be silent. You wouldn't say a word. I said, um, I'm thinking like, is he talking about the meetings like after the show that I was hardly ever at because I was told I didn't have to be there or like they didn't want me to be there? And then, like 9 times out of 10, I'm walking by the door, like where they would have the meetings in the jock lounge, and they're just laughing their asses off about something, whether it be like an upcoming bit or like something they wanted to do. I'm just like, I really want to be in there just to kind of see like what fucking goes on. And the times that I would be in there, I was either shooting the shit with Heather after the show or shooting the shit with Pete after the show, or like, hey, one of the computers is down. Okay, let's work on the podcasts over here. We can, throw them on the flash drive. I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. And, just go from there. And then, he would walk in and the meeting would start. I'm like, well, it'd be kind of rude to get up and fucking leave now.
Right.
So, and I'm like, this is not my fucking place. I'm not even supposed to. I was like Dante. I was like, I'm not even supposed to be here. So he was like, that was one thing. And I was like, you know what? And just in my head, I'm thinking like, also these fucking meetings, like, you would he would have the guys talk to a consultant who was like, hey, this bit's working out in this area. You guys should do a version of it too. Essentially, like stealing a bit.
Awesome.
He the program director came in one day. I remember this fucking clear as a fucking bell. He goes, hey guys, I just got back from Los Angeles and went to a Dodgers game, and they had this contest called quarter of a minute to win it, in which somebody would have to name, an amount of something like candy bars in like 15 seconds, and then they would go up against a celebrity, like one of the ball players would be up on the big screen, like, okay, how many candy bars can you name in 15 seconds? And if they got more than the player, they would win a prize. That's a contest. You guys should do it.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to tell the boss? Well, no, we don't want to steal a bit from the fucking Dodgers.
Yeah, seriously.
Like, this is the guy that's signing the checks. Like, okay, boss, absolutely, whatever you say.
It's awesome that it's somebody's job to steal somebody's ideas. That's cool.
Pretty much, yeah. Um,
So you're like,
yeah. So I'm being let go, and I he's like, well, do you have anything that you want to say? And I was just like, this is what I get for not wanting to be a fucking boat rocker. Like to not speak up and say shit.
mm-hmm.
He's like, well, if you wanted more hours, you could have came to me. I was like, didn't Kevin and Pete fucking talk to you about this? It was like they said, hey, well, we've got a meeting coming up with this guy. We'll talk to him, see if we can get you some extra hours. Or hey, we're gonna be on vacation. Mike doesn't want you coming in this week. I'm like, well, what the fuck am I gonna do? This is like my sole fucking income. What the fuck am I gonna do here? And he said, well, can I at least like go in and like learn how to run the board, like just in case, something happens, like Billy's not able to come in some night, like he was running the board overnight, or like Jackson wasn't able to run it, who was another guy who was the guy that took my job after I was gone. um, so they said, okay, well you can come in 2 days and learn the board. I'm like, well, that's fucking great. It's not even worth the gas to come up.
Mm-hmm.
But I did it anyways, and I worked with Billy, and Billy was a great teacher about it. So he ends it by saying, do you have any personal items that you need to get? I said, I got like a can of seltzer and my cell phone. That's pretty much it. He goes, okay. And he looks over at Carter. He's like, escort him out of the building, please. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. So I get up. I'm like, this is such fucking bullshit. So I'm like, I don't need to be escorted out of the fucking building. There's security cameras fucking all over the place.
Right.
I said, number two, if something does get damaged within the time of me leaving that door and me leaving the front door, they're gonna know it was me.
Seriously.
And I'm not about to fuck myself by damaging a fucking radio station for firing me.
Right.
Just nope, just get your shit, say goodbye, fucking leave. That's it. So Carter, walks me back to the room, and he's like, I honestly had no idea this was going to happen until, I got a call about it this morning. Carter, Mike told me to come in this morning and, just be ready this is what's going on. Mm-hmm. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. And, like, Carter had never lied to me, so I always trusted him. Like, he was always a guy that I trusted and knew had my back. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, I don't know what the fuck is going on right now. I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do right now. Like, thankfully, I was working another job. I was working at a Newport Creamery, flipping burgers and, just making food for, some extra money for gas so I could at least, like, keep going to ZLX and, just keep doing that. Um, so Carter, like, walks me to the front door. He's like, I'm really sad to see you leave because, I actually like, the work that you do and, you're incredibly dedicated to this. He's like, if you need like a letter of recommendation, just let me know. I'll be glad to write one out for you. And I said, can you do one thing for me though? My eyes are pretty much bawling at this point. I said, would it be possible? I said, let me can I at least do two things before I leave? And he goes, what do you need to do? I said, well, first things first, I at least want to say goodbye to the guys because I mean, they gave me the shot, and I'll forever be thankful to them for doing that. And I just wanted to at least say goodbye, say thank you. He's like, absolutely, absolutely. So I open the door, and as soon as I open the door, like I just get hit with a wave of motion. All I can do is like really just like wave my hand and just kind of like close the door. Before the door closes, all I see is Kevin raise his hand, just say goodbye, and just says thank you. Like I'm like, oh man, I don't know if he knows like what the fuck is going on. So I get rid of my Pro Tools session, I clear out everything, I get my personal stuff. I said, can we do one more thing before I leave? He goes, absolutely, what do you want to do? I said, would you have another drink of seltzer with me? He goes, absolutely, because I would always bring in, seltzer, I would always bring in an extra can, and, just kind of share it with Carter, and just, I would give it to him, like, after the morning show, and just be like, oh, let's drink to our health, or, hey, we did good in the ratings, great job, or, hey, it's fucking Tuesday, whatever. And we would just, we'd have a seltzer and just kind of shoot the shit for a bit. So, so we open the seltzers and we have, one last drink. And I said, thank you for everything, man. And I'm bawling. I wrap him up. I give him probably one of the tightest hugs I'd ever given anybody in my life. I'm surprised I didn't kill him. I'm like, wait, I didn't break your ribs, did I? He's like, no. I'm like, collapse lung, you'll be all right. So I get into my car and like I'm just bawling at this point because I'm like I don't know how the fuck I'm going to explain this to anybody that like come Monday morning I'm if be it like 6 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock in the morning, like I'm walking upstairs to grab some breakfast, like, hey, what are you doing here? Shouldn't you be at your job? Like I got fired. Like how am I supposed to explain that to people? Like so so I leave. And my phone starts ringing. And this is like one of the only times I've ever really, like, without there was one time I didn't have a radio in my car, so I was driving without music for about a period of a week. This was like the only time I voluntarily just did not have music on because I was just so full of just like anger and sadness and just fucking every bit of like emotion that I could have, and just just being alone with my thoughts, and I was fucking scared of that. So I was like, what's the fucking point now? Like I was literally thinking about taking my own life on that ride home.
Jesus, dude.
Yeah, because I was like, this was my fucking dream job, and
you at the time didn't have anything else lined up, although you did eventually.
I did eventually. Like I got a call probably about a week later about the New Hampshire job, and they said, hey, can we we'd like to bring you aboard for at least for an interview. Can you meet us here? So I did that. But before I left ZLX, the thing that Mike had told me was, we're gonna pay you for the next 3 weeks. Just you don't have to be here. You don't have to pick up a check or anything like that. We'll just we'll either mail you the check, or I was like, I have direct deposit. He's like, all right, then we'll do that then. He's like, it's just the normal hours, 5 to 10. So I said, yeah, just the 5 to 10 and whatnot. So I'm like, so I'm driving home, and I see Pete calls me, and I'm just like, what? I'm not in the fucking mood to hear from fucking anybody right now. I just leave me the fuck alone right now. So I let that go right to voicemail. I see Kevin tries to call me afterwards.